when it comes to handcrafting gifts, one of my favorite things to do is use the ScanNCut DX draw function. Hello, I am May Flaum, and we're going to be making a lavender satchel. The first step, I want to make a number of these for gifts, for friends, for Mother's Day, for birthdays, and I want to have a pattern that is clear and easy to follow for this. Now, I could be using a fabric pencil or pen on fabric to do this. However, it would not turn out the same every time. And what I'm really looking for here, I want to create lavender. So it is a fairly loose outline that I'm going for. And I may add or even change up exactly what I have here when I go to create. But I've drawn a nice thick line, and I'm going to scan this into my ScanNCut, create a file that I can then draw so that I will have uniform, consistent lavender. And this could be any flower that you want on every project that I create. Now I am working here on the SDX85S. That is the ScanNCut DX in sky blue. And I'm going into scan, and I'm using the grayscale mode. And I'm going to scan this in, and we're going to turn this into, it's going to be a cut file. However, remember that we can also draw and emboss and do other things with those files, and that is completely my intention here. Having a nice uniform file that I can then recreate this design and have it be consistent is going to save me a lot of time and energy. I am going to want to, once this has scanned and has recognized, select outline only because I'm just looking to draw the rough outline. And then I'm going to move my arrows in so that only my lavender is selected, and I'm going to save this to the machine. Then I am going to get out a piece of fabric. In this case, I have a cream cloth that I'm going to be using, and I have put a very heavy duty sticky back stabilizer on this. This is so that I can stitch without a hoop, without any kind of support. It is not a necessary step. It's just one that I personally prefer. You're then going to pull out the universal pen holder, which you see here. I have some washi tape wrapped around the base of my pencil because it was too thin. Once you have this set, you put it in the holder, make sure it is set up right, then remove your blade and set this inside. With this done, we can go in and pull up our pattern. There we go. Select OK, and if you need to edit the size, for example, I think I want this a little smaller. I drew it a little larger than I actually want this satchel to be. We're going to go into Object Edit and size down as much or as little as you would like. And then you're going to want to place it onto the mat. In this case, I've centered the fabric, so we're going to center it on the mat. And then we're going to click OK through, select Draw, and draw this. Now I can come back in here as many times, as often as I want, and this file will draw for us, which is absolutely fantastic. Now that little warning was just telling me to lift up the scanner level. When we're in the draw function, it likes that up. Once it has drawn, and you can see it here. Now with my lighting, you can't see all of the pencil, and this is a washable temporary pencil, so as I get my fingers on there, some of it will wipe away. That's something to note. I like this about it because by the time I am done, it's all disappeared and I don't have to wash it again to get rid of it. Now you're going to want to do any stitch that you want. If you want to do fancier stitches, if you want to keep it really simple with a running stitch, that's all going to be up to you, but you're going to want to stitch it. And I like to start with the stems because I bring the stems all the way up and then I put the flowers off of that. After you have stitched the stems, and here is the back side of mine, I'm using a variegated thread for my lavender flowers, and you can see all my little pencil marks there showing me where they should go. I love that. Makes it nice and simple for me to get started. So to do this, I'm just going to do a stitch where I'm going to go make a loop, and I actually prefer to put the needle back through next to my original hole, and I'm creating a loop, and then what I'm going to do is just make a little stitch at the top of the loop to pin it in place. Here you can see me doing just that. So I pull it through, and you want it to be snug but not too snug. And if you wanted to run a second loop of thread through there again to make it double thick, you certainly could. You could also just leave it as it is. Since this embroidery thread that I'm working with 3 strands of embroidery thread, which when we put it through and it's doubled up is actually 6 strands. So six strand thickness has been really good for me. And we're just going to repeat this on our marks and extra, if we have any extra that we want to do, until we are done. Now, once we are done, we're going to want to measure and cut a backing fabric for the back side and make a mark around whatever size that we've determined this should be. Mine is going to end up being around 5 by 6, although my initial measuring, I was thinking 5 by 7. I ended up trimming it down a little more. And there you can see my fabrics together, but on the wrong side. So I can just I'm taking and making a mark that I'm actually going to stitch to the inside of. There you can see me going. And when we get to the corners, we turn it. We just are going to leave, 3 or 4 inches at one of the sides. I'm picking the top to leave open so that we can then fill it and close it. And I am just using a straight stitch here on my Brother machine. Once I have this all the way done, I'm going to remove, my stabilizer is very, very heavy, so I'm actually going to remove that and then flip this right side out. And I will use something gentle, rounded to make sure that the corners are all the way out. Sometimes I have like a little smooth metal tool, or you know what, the bottom side of a thick marker pen works really well. This is also a chance to examine my stitching, make sure that I didn't mess anything up, make sure that all of my stitching is holding nice and strong. And I'm going to fill this with a combination of buckwheat hulls and lavender. That's just a combination I've found to be really lightweight and work really well for these satchels. And once this is done, I am just going to get a piece of ribbon because I want this to be hangable. This is really great, like on a hanger in the closet, that kind of thing. And I'm just going to sort out where I want this to be closed and then how long my ribbon should be. Tuck it inside. Pinning it is a really good idea so that you have it exactly how you want it. And then you can either just stitch across the top, or if you want to, and something I like to do because it makes it even more secure as well as adds a decorative touch, is I'm going to run a line of stitching all the way around. Once I have this tucked just so, as you can see, I have my cute decorative fabric for the back side that's going to match up. One of the things I really love about this project is it's incredibly simple. If you do not have a sewing machine, I'm straight stitching with my sewing machine. You could stitch this all by hand. It requires very little skill, very little know-how, and can be entirely done by hand if you would so like it. Isn't this an absolutely beautiful gift? I know I would love to receive it, and I can't wait to make even more. Thank you so much for tuning in to this tutorial. I hope that you have gotten some fresh ideas for your crafting. Stay tuned and be sure to subscribe to the Brother YouTube channel for more inspiration.